Okay, I promised that I would give an overview of how I run a Shadow Knight. This is the video where I do that. As I said in my earlier video, where I was doing a mission and killing a little named and over there, I am not an expert on running a Shadow Knight. It's a very rich, very deep class. There's a lot of options. There's room to differ, and there are people who just flat out know how to do it better than I do. Um, but this is the way I do it. This is how I roll. First off, this is a TOV geared, group geared Shadow Knight. He does have a raid one-hand weapon, and I tend to go with that one-hand shield for the most bit. Let's see. I guess we would start with the combat disciplines. I usually order those by timer, and kind of you would take the best of discipline in each timer area. In this case, timer 1 just has one discipline, rigor mortis. That is a feigned death discipline. As a Shadow Knight, I have 4 feigned death disciplines. I have a hotkey set up. It's my feign hotkey, and I go with my primary discipline death piece. That's my best feign death. If it should not be up because I'm feigning quite often for some reason, then this disc would default to rigor mortis. And in the unlikely event that I am just popping up and down as fast as I can for some bizarre reason, I might get down to terminal breath, which is another feign. Death Effigy is the one that 100% drops aggro and gives you evader's visibility. So I have that separate because I choose when to use that. Next we have is Unholy Aura Discipline. This increased the damages of your life taps by 100%. So if you need that extra oomph, you hit that. I do have a hotkey set up for that, but I don't use it too often. It's not great, but basically it hits Unholy Aura and then casts my life taps. And you're going to be doing, 100%. This is your, probably like I need to heal quickly. Let's see. Next is timer 3, Leech Curse Discipline. This is generally a burn discipline for me. You hit that and you're going to do a lot more melee damage. I also have a melee burn disc that I can hit when I want to maximize my burns. Scourge Skin is another one. I'll throw that out. Throws out a damage shield, 5,000 point damage shield. Blood Drinker's Coating. This is a heal. These are just little extras when you need it. Okay. Next is Deflection Discipline. Deflection Discipline is similar to the Warrior's Fortitude, but whereas Fortitude is a dodge discipline, this is a block discipline. So you're going to need to have a shield equipped, and you're going to want the mobs to be in front of you. If they get behind you, you're giving up the benefit of deflection. It's not going to block your things. The way I've set up is I have a deflection. I activate shield, which is on my bandolier. And because you need to have a shield equipped, say if I'm a two-handed, this will switch me back to my shield. Hit the disc deflection. I have Detente in there. You don't need that. Hates attraction, pulls to me. This is all just sort of a, let's grab aggro, deflect, I'm going into battle. Equivalent to that is shield flash. Same thing. I use this perhaps a little more often because it pops quicker. Then we have, let's see, for 5, ton of disciplines we're looking. Restless Mantle. Okay, Restless Mantle is one of my defensive discs. It's an important one. Now, unlike a warrior where you have a defensive disc up all the time, Shadow Knights are more reliant on healing through taps, things like that. So they don't hit the defensive discs 100% of the time. So we've got shield, flash, deflection. Those are very short term, block everything until the healers got me and I put up something. I have a disc, I call it DEFCON 35. Why, I don't know. But that activates, again, puts me in shield mode, because if I'm going to a disc, I don't want to be wielding my two-handed weapon. And then hits disc Restless Mantle. Thwart, you want to hit thwart all the time. Thwart should be on your mash button. It's the one that activates your Knight Synergy, which basically puts a damage buff or a damage rune on all your party. And so you want to be basically hitting thwart all the time. So I just throw it in because it's part of the mash routine. So that's Restless Mantle, and it can only be used every 15 minutes. It lasts a minute. So you can see that it's not something you're going to have up constantly. So then we go to timer 6, and that is going to be Unending Acrimony would be the one I would choose. It's your best one. This is a aggro discipline. So we go over to this particular hotbar is my aggro disciplines, and we have Unending Acrimony right there. Okay, so the way I've got my aggro discipline set up is I have these are my 3 AA group, A area of effect aggros. This is very important because they don't do damage, and they're one of your most powerful turns as tools as a Shadow Knight. You can hit them every 45 seconds to grab aggro of all the mobs around you. Each one has a slightly different means of doing that. But you should use it often. If you're mezzing, you can use these. You can grab the aggro. This is what makes Shadow Knight so powerful. So I have one labeled in front. That casts Stream of Hatred. Stream of Hatred is a zone AE aggro. It's going to go out in front of you and hit up to 8 mobs. The next one I have Around Mob. That's Explosion of Hatred. No surprise. You target a mob, you hit that, and it's going to aggro up to 8 mobs around, or up to 7 other mobs plus that one around that mob. And then I have Around Me. No surprise there. That's Explosion of Spite. And Explosion of Spite drags the 8 mobs around me. So if you know this, if you've got like a bunch of mobs right around you, you probably don't want to hit Stream of Hatred. You would want to hit Explosion of Spite. You might back up though and hit Stream of Hatred if you need more aggro. You can kind of rotate those. So those are my 3 no damage AE aggros. This puts the Shadow Knight head and shoulders above warriors and paladins when it comes to snap grabbing aggro on a bunch of mobs. Warriors have no problem with one. They can do it. They have a lot of tools, but I would say that when it comes to AE aggro, Shadow Knights are king. Then I have a wide variety of other focused aggro tools: Projection of Doom, Veil of Darkness, Hate's Attraction, which is a tremendous aggro generator, and it pulls the mob to you as long as it's no more than 3 levels higher than you. I use it as a pulling tool. Ageless Enmity, and then we started this with Unending Acrimony. The bottom line aren't, they're an extension of, this is my defensive discs. I ran out of room. So these are just a few tools that I could use to give me a little more oomph when it comes to defensiveness. And finally, Voice of Thule I have down here, which is an aggro generator. But the fact is, a lot of Shadow Knights don't really need to use Voice of Thule because they use Touch of Zlandikar, which puts a buff up on you. That lasts 16 minutes and adds 25% to your hate. It's the exact same thing that Voice of Thule does, which lasts 18 minutes. They stack, but they don't do anything addition. If you've got one up, you don't need the other. But Touch of Zlandikar also does some other things, so you're going to use that. Let's see. So this is my aggro generator. So now we go to timer 9, terminal breath, final breath. These are all, as I said, this is a feign. I've already dealt with that. As a 115 Shadow Knight, you probably will never cast terminal breath, but it is one of your feigns. And I told you how I set my hotkey up. So 10, we have Rending Blade. I have that over here. It's pops up every minute. So this is sort of on a mash button. Thwart, Rending Blade, you're going to hit those a lot. Then we come to Carapace. I call that DEFCON 20. It regenerates every 7.5 minutes instead of every 15 minutes, so I use this more often. When I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm losing health too quickly, pop a defensive disc. This is the one I would do. Again, it puts me into shield mode, hits the disc. I do thwart, taunt. Probably it's stupid to do taunt. I know everybody said that, but you know, whatever. So we're going back here, and let's see. Armor of Experience regenerates like every 20 hours or something. It's ridiculous. So, but sometimes, you know, doing a name, go ahead and hit that. Gives you some more. Cursed Guardian Discipline is another defensive disc. We haven't got to that yet. But I like that because it heals you too. It's a great disc. I use that more often. And then this is my glyph, which I have named 40 effing AA because that's how much it costs to cast. But by gosh, this is the disc you want to hit if you need to be able to tank just about anything. I mean, it's a great disc. And I won't read it to you. Reaver's Bargain. Honestly, it is very rare that you'll be in a situation where you're going to find Reaver's Bargain worth the cost of casting it. The reason I say that is because it absorbs 75% of incoming melee damage that exceeds 25,000 damage per hit. Well, a lot of group names, they just don't hit over 25,000. They might hit for 30,000 occasionally. You're just not going to get as big of a benefit as you would like to get for that. If you do use it, when it expires, you're not going to have any endurance or mana. So you're going to hit Thought Leech. I have that right after here to give you a quick boost of mana. This could be refreshed every 18 minutes. I tend to only use it with Reaver's Bargain, but it's there. So those are my defensive disciplines. I said they lay over here for a few extras. So after 11, we come up to Cerise Blade, 3 sword attacks, refreshes every 20 minutes. So it's more of a burn disc. You know, when you need that extra damage, you can hit it. Let's see. Here it is. I use it with this kind of melee burn, I say. It hits my Epic, Vistas of Death, Tevil's Resolve, and Cerise. For timer 13, I still use breather because I do not like the penalty you get with relax. Slows your melee attacks by 1,000%. I use breather. So another little Spite of Morella. That's a buff you can throw out there. I mean, it's, gives you less damage, but you lower the armor class, you deal damage, and you return 150% as health. So this is kind of a healing one. Don't use it too often, but it's there. 15. We're coming up with Thwart. Obviously, as I said, this is your mash button. It's your synergy one. You want to do it all the time. And then we're at 17. Cursed Guardian Discipline. This refreshes every 12 minutes. I use it a lot when I need it because it does reduce your melee damage, but it reduces the damage you take by 36%. And you start getting life taps. So this is like when you're tanking a mob and you're not worried about the damage you're dealing, but you want to, be able to hang up there. So this is for names. Then we've got finally Reflexus Revulsion, strike your target with 3 slashing, and it heals your group. So I have it over here. We have Bite of Chaos, 20,000 damage. It refreshes every minute, so it's a mash one. You use it when it's up. Leech Touch refreshes every 10 minutes, and it's another health drainer. So let's see. We've covered this area is just sort of, my snare, Cloak of Shadows, a pull, Hate's Attraction, that is drop from and pulling using that. Perfected Invis, Spire, Harm Shield, Rest the Dead, so just utilities. These spell lineup, I don't use this bar, but I have them set up as you see. Hit J key and it's going to come up with these, whichever these 5 are up. If I hit the K key, I'm doing AE taps and hatred. If you're not mezzing, you can use these. L key is going to be whichever of these are up. These are all hate generators. And then, so this is just spell bars. The reason I have a bar set up like that is so that I can use the JKL theory, because I also have spells set up to do a certain way on other tunes, and I just didn't want to use my spells. I have different buttons for spells, and I didn't want to change that. Let's see. These are sort of burn type situations, and then my buff. Basically, most people use Unity Alpha, and that's going to give you the kind of the maximum buffs to give you life tapping. You're going to heal a little better with this. Alternatively, if you have a problem with mana, then hit Dark Lord's Unity B, and that's going to get you Mental Torment or whatever the version of that, and you start tapping mana instead. Just random stuff here. And then this is all my pet stuff. So this is the setup here, pets. Let's see, we've got my pet, level 113, I believe. He's dark blue to me. He's just a really, Shadow Knight pets used to be useless. He's pretty good. He's a nice little dot. He's a nice little off tank. Got my cleric up. And let's see, this is kind of giving you the abilities. Did I go over my spell line? I use Spear, and then Dire Indictment, Touch of Drendar, Cadkane Skin, Dissident Fang, and then Tear of Morella. I hit this on Incoming a lot, Protest for Power, Concord Disruption. All of these are helping give you this line here, these three, giving hate. Shadow Knights have no problem holding aggro. And basically, you're always casting a spell constantly. Then we have our AE tap / aggro generators that you don't use if mezzing is an issue. Touch of Zlandikar, which puts a buff on you. Gift of Zlandikar, and it does the same thing that Voice of Thule does with a little bit more. My biggest dot right now, I've got that up. Bond is a nice little thing. You can cast that on multiple mobs, and it's going to be draining health constantly and handing it to you. That's my Shadow Knight setup. I like the class. It's stupidly strong. I mean, this is the class if you want to be soloing tough, hard creatures. You want to be killing multiple mobs. You know, you want to pull a dozen mobs. You want to train all of the various heroic missions. I like it. I like all of the tanks. I've played them all. I guess my main fondness is a warrior, but that's because I started playing a warrior 20 years ago and have played a warrior when I'm raiding and stuff like that. But I think the Shadow Knight is a better group tank all around. It just can do so much. And you can feign, you can invis, you can go deep into a dungeon. It's a cool little class. I'm going to end this. I've gone on far too long. I'll talk to you guys later.